my Rolodex of stories from the weekend, so we'll give you a little bit of a preview, and then we'll go on from there. But one thing is Golden Nugget, which actually was rumored to be acquired by DraftKings or whatever happened with that. I think they agreed to it, but it's definitely obviously hasn't closed yet. They received a waging operator license in Arizona, so they can enter that market soon once theirs is available. I saw Fubo Gaming, which is Fubo TV's sportsbook, had a similar announcement this morning. Fubo also came out and said they're going to be making like free-to-play games and FanView Live Stack, which they have been in beta for a little bit. They said they're going to make them into they're going to take them out of beta just in time for the qualifiers for the Qatar World Cup, which they have some exclusive matches for or whatever. So that's coming with Fubo. Robinhood also announced this morning that underwriters are going to exercise their option to buy additional shares. I think it's partially, actually. I don't know what the full allotment was, but the underwriters right now are purchasing around 4.4 million shares at the IPO price of $38 per share. So from that sale, Robinhood's going to receive about $158 million. So just some quick stuff while we get all the, whatever stuff to get the stream started. But I think we should be ready to go in about, a minute or so.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm going to be ready whenever you want to roll into it.
All right. I'm definitely ready. Let me send one more DM out to Stock Talk Weekly, get him in here. And then, yeah. Okay. So I see Shark of Traders is in the crowd as well. I requested on Bullish Rippers to come up. For those of you guys, we'll wait till they're up here.
Yeah, I got Bullish Rippers up here.
Perfect.
Sent Shark an invite.
So while we're getting started as well, Bullish Rippers and Shark of Traders are actually the two people that really allow us to make that trade of the week and that trade of the week segment come together. Shark of Traders, I believe. I apologize. Gives us the plays the day before, which we kind of spit out to you guys, and Bullish Rippers sponsored it and gave us some money so that we can make these trades without losing our own money, and it kind of allows us to go in, learn something for you guys and really not have to worry about it. And we can, actually make this into a real thing instead of whatever worrying about that we're going to lose money and not actually doing this stuff. So Bullish Rippers allowed us to make this out. Make sure you're following them. Shark of Traders gives us the trades each week and allows us to present them to you guys, some good plays. So make sure you're following them as well. But I think with that, Gav, I think we're ready.
Yeah,
We got over
absolutely.
120 people in here. I think we got to get going.
Yeah, let's get this thing rolling. Welcome back, everybody, to episode maybe 5 or 6, something around there, of Good Morning FinTwit. This is a weekly space at 9:20 a.m. EST, hosted by myself. I also run the Wolf account, and Evan from Stock Market News, just trying to prep people for a full week in the markets, giving you things like news, option plays, earnings, calendar, everything that you got to understand to be able to be a good, if not great, trader. Also at 10 a.m., we will be bringing on Peter Tuchman, who works on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, and we'll also be bringing on Katherine Ross, who used to host with Jim Cramer on the street, to be able to give a bit of a more macro view for those of you who are maybe more, looking at the big picture. You're kind of a buy and hold, but you want to understand what's happening on a day-to-day basis. So that is, I think, a nice quick wrap up. Evan, we're going to start out with some news, and then we're going to have a couple of speakers that'll actually give some news stories, and then we'll go into the section with talking about some different option plays. And it looks like we have some high-flying option plays today. So get hyped for that. All right, Evan, all you.
Awesome, very exciting. So I brought Stock Talk Weekly up here to give us the rundown on one or two stories that he specifically follows. But first, I'm going to go through a couple stories and we'll bring them in. So first story I got for you guys is Facebook. So Mark Zuckerberg has been selling shares pretty much every single day of this year. I believe it is pretty much I think it is like literally every single day that he has sold shares. And it's definitely a part of an ongoing plan. And it's probably just that he's diversifying his wealth. But the fact is he has sold so far in 2021 about 10 million shares of Facebook, and that is worth about $3.74 billion as of Friday's close. And just for some perspective of what $3.74 billion could buy him, he could buy all of Riot Blockchain, ticker RIOT. He could buy all of Six Flags with that money, ticker SIX, which is currently valued at $3.6 billion. So, and this is like, so a lot of these people are talking about like 3.75 billion is a lot of money, but this is what he sold just this year. He could buy the Seattle Seahawks, which are valued at 3.5 billion, the Green Bay Packers, which are valued at 3.5 billion, the Chicago Bulls, which are valued at 3.3 billion, and then finally, Kathy Wood's entire Tesla holdings are worth $3.2 billion. So just some scale on what Mark Zuckerberg, his $3.74 billion that he sold this year, kind of how that values against some other stuff. Next, I'm going to move on to the Google Play Store. Sorry, Google Play Store. This is actually from court filings that were unredacted and unsealed this weekend. But in Google doesn't necessarily break down these numbers specifically. They don't go into how all the Play Store generates revenue. They just kind of make it as a bigger segment. So then breaking down the revenues is really interesting. These numbers are for the year of 2019. They generated $11.2 billion in revenue from its Google Play App Store. So just from its Google Play App Store. And then in that year, the App Store had a gross profit of $8.5 billion. And then an operating income from that of $7 billion. Just some quick math. That's an operating margin of 62.5%. So that's pretty impressive. Next thing I want to go to is actually Gergavin is in here, and this is where I got this from over the weekend. I'm going to link them in here. But he was nice enough to share a screenshot from Bloomberg Terminal about the stocks with the highest short interest. It was broken down by exchange, so I'm just going to post this in the top up here so you guys can kind of see that. These are both the pinned tweets, but I'll go through them really quickly. Some names that I know a lot of people care about. So for the NASDAQ, I see Workhorse in here as one of the highest names that has a roughly 40% of its float is shorted. MicroStrategy is another very popular one with about 34.3% of its float shorted. And then another huge one is Robinhood, ticker HOOD. All of us know it. It's kind of become the meme stock, and it's definitely in the news everywhere right now. But that, according to this, has a short interest of 34.2%. When I look over to the New York Stock Exchange, the NYSE, I see Skills is actually number one at the top at roughly 46% of its float short. And then I'm looking down this and I see Fisker, Lemonade, a couple others. I know there was a big comment on Figs, ticker FIGS, this morning from someone that I followed. So that was another thing that was at the top of my mind. But with that, I'm going to move it over to Stock Talk Weekly to give us a little bit about some news that happened this morning.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. So it's not necessarily, I don't want to call it news yet because I don't want to say it's confirmed, but so Global Star is it's a small cap stock. I've been trading it for a long time. In February, they signed a partnership with Qualcomm to but really what it does is it extends 5G capability from what Global Star traditionally did, which was just satellite-based communications. And this band N53 is going to extend, or did extend, I will say, back in February, compatibility to mobile broadband, fixed wireless, industrial Internet of Things, and pretty much any private network application you can think of. And so, really, the idea was that now Global Star had access to the phone and laptop markets. And at that time, obviously, they didn't have any major partnerships in that space, but it's kind of implied that it was coming. And this report that we see today is kind of speaking to that. Obviously, Apple has not confirmed it, but this is like a top Apple supply chain analyst. It's coming. CNBC is reporting it. Wall Street Journal had an article on it. So it's being reported widely now that the iPhone 13, sorry, is likely going to connect directly to satellites. And so to connect directly to satellites, it's going to need a custom Qualcomm chip, sorry, to do that. And reportedly, the one they're using is going to be the one that GSAT helped develop. And so I think it's going to be big for this stock. This stock has a history of making huge moves off, no news, just when small caps are running. And so I think with a catalyst behind it, this could be a multi-day runner. In the past, when I've traded this is like a really, really good candidate for continuation. Usually, I always tell people if you're trading small cap tickers, you want to look at how they've behaved in the past on their runs. GSET is one that, consistently has held 2, 3, sometimes even 4 days straight massive rallies. And so I think you see it now. It's going to start approaching that 250 resistance pretty quickly. And then from there, it's a trading game and a momentum game. But I think this is a big catalyst for that stock. Again, not confirmed news. This is really just reportedly based on what this Apple supply chain analyst is saying. But it looks legit to me and it makes sense to me because, that seems like the next logical step in the iPhone is to connect directly and relay directly with satellites as opposed to otherwise. So, yeah, I think it's pretty big news. I think the other thing that I was going to discuss was the Affirm and Amazon partnership, but I don't think we're getting a ton of traffic on small cap tickers that are related to that today, except for Catapult, which I mentioned on Friday on my page as a direct sympathy. And for those who don't know why Catapult is a sympathy to Affirm, and again, Catapult ticker is KPLT for those who don't know. The reason that's up 20-ish% right now pre-market is because Catapult is one of Affirm's subprime partners. So for people who can't qualify for Affirm or low credit customers or high risk customers, they get waterfalled over to Catapult. And so that's why, if Affirm gets integrated into Amazon, it's almost a direct a benefit to Catapult's business. And so that's why they're up. But yeah, that was just the two things I wanted to discuss.
Awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate you coming up and giving us that breakdown on that. I think that quickly now we want to move into the open and how the market's open today. I personally am seeing the NASDAQ and S&P 500 both back at all-time highs. I saw a pretty nice move upward. It looks like, I want to say about 2 to 3, about 66% of stocks are moving forward, while about the rest look like to be retracing a little bit at the open. Gav, are you seeing the same thing or something different?
Yeah, it sounds about right. I'm watching also some specific stocks, some of the high movers, ones that we're actually going to be talking about with Shark. I'm just watching the option flow currently, and I'm just looking at the pricing on those. So I've been looking at more like some small caps right now and some things that might be like more boom or bust. But that sounds good for, I mean, the overall market and for like large caps and everything like that. Yeah, it seems to be moving in the direction you just stated.
Mm-hmm. I did get a notification this morning that Nvidia was back at all-time highs, which is always a nice notification to get. But before we move on to our next section, I'll just say it one more time. Stock Talk Weekly just gave us some really great stuff there. We have a bunch more people coming forward. So just as the speakers are up here, make sure you guys give them a follow to hear more about them. And then if you guys want to, at the top, we have some pin stuff kept up there. We have the Bullish Rippers newsletter. So if you guys want to read that, go up there, check it out after this. If you want to follow Bullish Rippers, I would suggest that as well. Follow all the people we have up here. And I think with that, we want to move on to the next section. What we got next, Gav?
I think we should move right into some of these trades and opportunity now that there's some movement. So each week we do get some nice, real awesome plays from Shark, and we read them out. And sometimes there's some questions, so I figured we should just bring them in himself. What's going on, Shark?
My bad. Sorry, I was on mute.
All good, man. How's everything going? Having a good morning?
Doing well. Sorry, a little active. I'm here. You might hear.
I can imagine
that kind of stuff, but no, it's going well. But here for questions, all that kind of stuff. One thing that I am playing right now, I've already sold some off, was my option for BBIG that I ended up getting on Friday. There was a lot of large option flow coming in on not only on usual whale, but just throughout the entire option market. A lot of big buys, a lot of block trades going on Friday, and especially end of day, right? So that's very important. If you're seeing lots of money and lots of people spending big blocks on premiums end of day on Friday, it gets me interested, especially when I know social sentiment for those kind of stocks are extremely high, right? And it's one of those things that, just like today, that they couldn't wait to get in, right? So it was kind of like this craze right in the morning. I was able to get off in those nines. It's obviously pulled back, but that's how I like to also trade things. So I don't ever initiate a new trade in the first 30 minutes. That's when I look to sell. And then I will, after the first 30 minutes, when there has been a flush and things start to regroup, I'll then go and look to get back in. But sorry if I'm a little distracted, but I'm here, so you can ask me any questions.
No, you're doing great, man. So right now with BBIG, you would recommend staying away from buying into that.
Yeah, so perfect example is I would just be watching. For any stocks on Mondays and just in general, and this is how I trade and this is how I talk to my community is first 30 minutes of anything, I don't initiate a new trade. I will be selling though, because lots of people can't wait to be getting into the market, floods up the volume where you get a nice kind of price action spike in the first even 5 minutes of market. And then, right, things usually tend to pull back. That pullback is usually people selling, right? And that's people like me, people that have been holding over the weekend that did have some large purchases. And it's also a lot of bigger money flows out of the market, knowing that a lot of the retail traders can't wait to be the excitement of Monday, the excitement of can't wait to buy trades, and people flood the market. And I'm talking about the retail trader, and they're usually buying shares of people that are anticipating that. So, for example, BBIG flooded, right? It pulled back this morning, and now we are starting to kind of regroup at that 850. Okay. So if you are looking at BBIG for now, I wouldn't be interested until we get a new high of the day. Okay. And or a nice volume uptick. Okay. A volume uptick will lead to a nice volume spike in this one today, but we need to have a volume probably uptick. And I'm on the 1 minute channel right now because we're so early in the morning. I usually trade on the 5 or 15, but since we're doing this live and stuff, I want to be able to talk to you guys and give you some analysis. Right now, you need to be watching for 925 break and more importantly 950. If this does pull into tens today, there is an opportunity for running, right? But remember, huge gap up, okay? A lot of volume in the morning, right? That had this nice little spike in the first 2 to 3 minutes, but then it's pulled back, right? So that big volume has led to a pullback, which is obviously leading to people selling, right? If it decided to go, right, and pull out break 10, that means that volume that we had, I mean, we had 5 million and literally in the 1 minute candle bars in the first 3 minutes, right? So that's people just selling, okay? But also you gotta understand, I hate to say it, with a lot of retail traders and those apes and those people, they're so excited. They can't wait to make money. I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna be rich today. But you gotta be a little patient. If you rush things too much, then you're going to be buying shares, unfortunately, like people like me, right? You're going to be buying my shares. I already knew that I was going to be selling first thing in the morning. I already tell my people, do not initiate, or anyone that's in my community, don't initiate a trade the first 30 minutes because you're going to be buying people's shares. Wait for things to base, right? Wait for the volume to show what's going to happen. Wait for the trend of the day, right? That is going to show usually the first 30 minutes. And then that can kind of leave you into actionable trades. I'm a top-down approach guy. So the first pre-market, all that kind of stuff, I like to see what futures are doing. I like to see what major indices are doing, and then I like to go and see how are our sectors, what is every sector doing. And then after our sectors, and nowadays you have to have a Wall Street Bets social sentiment sector. I have that sector, and that is a sector that has been playing hot this morning. Obviously, social sentiment is something that does well, and that's what I'm playing. Where there's also other sectors that are doing well. We have technology is doing well this morning. Healthcare seems to be doing well this morning. Real estate's whatever, it's just blank. But those are the ones I'm playing right now. So social sentiment is huge. So right now with BBIG, if we want, like I said, right, we're patient. We're patient. If it breaks 840 on the downside, I mean, for traders that don't short or don't play puts, you want to be staying away. And if you are looking at this on the 1 minute chart, you're seeing, right, that the volume is slowly deteriorating, right? You got to wait for a big volume uptick, and we're looking for a 4 million break on the 1 minute chart. And once that happens, there's a really good opportunity for this thing to take off. But, right, with this gap up, with all the social sentiment, with everyone talking about BBIG this morning, right, and especially those big volume options being bought end of day Friday, I can guarantee you, and I'm seeing a lot of sweeps coming in on the selling of calls. And those are people selling calls this morning for people that couldn't wait. That have been waiting all weekend, right? Excited. Can't wait to spend this money. But you got to be patient in this market. If you trade on emotion, you are going to lose. You're going to lose money to people that are trading with a plan. So, perfect example, I will not be interested on BBIG today until we break a new high. So we need to be breaking into the tens, right? But if we break into 10, I do believe when you extend this out, there is this opportunity for this thing to take off because it's done it before, okay? But if you are chasing within this candle right now on this gap up, first of all, especially on the options, the IV and the delta are going to the IV is going to be extremely high, the implied volatility. And then depending on how much time you give yourself, if you're going to be short-term, theta will eat this thing up to pieces. And then on top of it, where it's already trading, your delta is very important. So delta is the probability of also the trade coming to fruition. So now it's starting to make a move, right? So, and we're having volume. Okay, so volume starts. So right now we need on the 1 minute candle, if you're watching this, if this volume picks up to the threes, but see volume uptick, right? We're starting to get it. And price action is starting to come with it. Okay. We were flat for the last week. Yep, volume uptick. There we go. So that's something that does help on a lot of these social sentiments. If you see a volume uptick, right, that usually initiates a price action. We're starting to have that. And this thing's going to get interesting. It's already, it got rejected at 10 again. And now if it does break 10, it might be something that's interesting. Sorry if I'm going a little too long, Gav. I'll let you guys go.
No, you're doing awesome.
Yeah, dude,
What's
we
up,
want
Evan?
you to come up here and give us this great information. So, no, speaking for both of us, I know that we really love that insight right there, and we want more. I do have a question though. I know
Yeah.
Gav has a couple as well. This is more of a broader one, but for me, like a lot of newer traders getting into the market, it is really difficult, and not everyone fully understands that trading is more or less a full-time job. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. So really, just like for these newer traders getting into the market, as someone like yourself who's been doing this for a while and definitely has the expertise in it, do you is there anywhere you would tell these people to start looking for information to get better, or is there any tip you'd give them at the start, really for that person just getting into trading, because it's so difficult at the start to really get to the point where you are a more advanced trader, know everything, and then can profit from it? So just that advice at the beginning.
Definitely. The first thing that I would encourage everyone, okay, is first of all, find the really cool thing about the stock market, right, is that there's such vast data, right? So perfect example, right? Like stock market news this morning, like you were breaking down and getting into the stories and all the news and all that, right? So there's that aspect of the market, right? Then there's the charting aspect, there's the technical analysis aspect, and then there's the fundamental aspect. So first and foremost, I would say, what interests you as a trader? Is it the news? Is it these companies specifically? Is it maybe one or two companies that you just love and you could just read about them all day, right? So that's what I would say first for these new traders. Secondly, if you are someone that these charts are interesting to you, technical analysis seems that it's something that is fun. That's how I got into it. I was I was a small level programmer out of college. I liked programming in college. It was just a really fun hobby, and that led me into doing like algorithms. I liked algorithm and writing my own algorithms because I love technical analysis. Now, as I developed as a trader, news, fundamentals, all of that plays an important role, especially when when this is your main job. You have to make sure that you cover all aspects. But in the beginning, for a new trader, figure out what is it that you could spend hours just diving into. And for me, it was technical analysis. I literally could just look at charts, look at different patterns, pattern recognition, all that kind of stuff. I could just do it for hours. It was fun. So the first thing that I ever did, I'll be honest with you, this is a book that I recommend. I literally have it at my desk. It's kind of like my Bible that it's funny, literally the binding's falling off because I've read this book probably over 20, 30 times. And I probably open it every single day. And it's called The Technical Analysis of the Financial Markets by Murphy. It's very straightforward. It explains everything in such for me, in such a clear, straight shooter fashion. I didn't go to school in the sense of like a financial, to learn to be a financial advisor. All of this kind of came as like a passion. My CEO, when I was a pharmaceutical sales rep, took me under the wing, taught me how to read FDA approval letters, things like that, to try to find heads up of a possible CRL or something that might lead to an early approval. And I learned quickly that was something that, wow, this could make some money, and I just loved it. What I loved about it was the patterns. Sorry, it's still early over here.
and I haven't had my coffee. But it was the patterns and recognizing various patterns within what I'm reading. And then after that, I learned technical analysis. And then that's when my sorry, let me get some water. My CEO basically told me that that book is something I should check out. Hold on, give me a break really fast.
I gotta say, the way you're speaking, the quality of it before having your first cup of coffee is definitely impressive. I am nowhere near that. So, dude, just what you've given so far is pretty awesome. And
But
yeah,
I want to dig into some more of these plays, Shark, if that's okay. Because we've only gone over BBIG, but he did put
Oh,
out
sorry, I'm
a five.
here. back in my I just need some water. My bad.
Yeah. So, Shark, I want to go over some more of these plays, if that's okay. And maybe some
Yeah,
more of
do
the
it.
details around them. So, maybe just for people that are listening, you also put out, in addition to the play, so you put out, the strike, the date, and that. Then you have something that says price when alerted.
Yep.
Then you have 20% key, 50% key, underlying when alerted, key turning points. So I get the resistance and support. Can you kind of break down for people what you're showing when you say price when alerted and then 20% key and 50% key and then underlying when alerted?
Yeah, no problem. So basically, these watch lists, I get these watch lists, and these watch lists are fully based. Perfect example, guys, right? Sorry, BBIG, it's flushing, right? And it's bouncing off of 846 brilliantly, and that's the low of the day. So I'm sorry, I'm just watching these here. So basically, I go and I hunt the unusual whale options. Okay, unusual whale is a great tool for it's just a great tool for any kind of trader. You don't have to just be an options trader. I actually started with him when I was an options trader. I became more of an options trader this year based on a lot of the crazy price movement. But for the most part, I'm still an underlying trader. I trade the underlying for the most part. But what I do is it's nice to follow the options movement because I like to see where some of the big money is going and where they're flooding the market with. So on my watch list, the underlying is referring to when that alert was fired off by Unusual Whale. So everything on my watch list is to make it, kosher, right, for everybody. Is basically every single alert is from Unusual Whale. It's not something that I create. But what I do is I take the Unusual Whale alert and then I analyze it on a technical level and whatever came through the flow. So on the technical level, I developed the support and resistance. And if we're playing in the channel between the support and resistance, I'm not so much interested in it, right? I'm looking for a breakout of the support and resistance on either end. And then if we do have a breakout, I will then possibly look into that option that I alerted. Usually my support and resistance correlates with a 20% move in the original alerted stock, alerted option. So when the option is alerted via Unusual Whale, they have the ask price. So some people will see an alert and they will, oh, I got to get in. I can't wait. Boom, boom, boom. Give me that money. Give me that. Where's the option? I can't wait to buy. Well, man, sorry. I do things a little differently. I wait for the option price to first break a 20% gain because that shows me that one, obviously, that there is demand for that option, and two, that will increase for a short period of time that implied volatility for us in a good way. And also, if there's that move, that means that there's been an underlying move in the stock, and usually your delta and your probability of that option coming to fruition is only increases. So I wait for a 20% move on that original alert. When that original alert does make a 20% move, I am then interested and I'll go long or short or whatever on the options. If it's buying a put, if it's buying a call, for the most part, that's what they do. It's very basic on the sense of those two, long call and long puts, for the Unusual Whale. And then what I'm looking at is I'm looking at a 50% move to sell. from the original alert. So basically, I'm going to, once my option from my buying side has reached 30% gains, I sell it. too too much now are people looking for the return porn, in the sense that they want the 100% gains and they can't wait to flex it out and all that kind of stuff. That's amazing. And if you get that move, awesome. For me, when I get those moves, it's because something's gapped up, and that's awesome. But whenever I hit a 30% gain in any of my options, I'm always selling, or at least looking to scale out, and then I just move up my stop loss to that point. Um, in this industry, if you're looking for home runs every single time, you're going to strike out more than you will, and ultimately you're going to destroy your account or your savings or whatever you're trading with. My very first time I ever traded, I was a little bit more emotional, and I did blow up my first account. And then that's when I realized that emotions had to be literally left at the doorstep when you enter in your office or wherever you trade. And you have to just be focused on your plan, whatever your plan is. What I found out from the unusual whales and doing a lot of back testing was that once something breaks 20%, there's almost a 60% probability that those will run to a 50% in a 2 to 3 day period. Usually lately it's been actually higher. So what I do is I like to play high probability trades. I will then take that off the table at 30%, and I'll move on. And I don't care if things keep running. I don't beat myself up if it keeps running. What I do is I say I'm very proud of myself. I made a right play, and maybe I could have moved up my stop loss into that target point and let your winners win, right? But I wouldn't develop that strategy until you've also learned to take profits. Learning to take profits is hugely important. So that's how that whole watch list is created. Is I'm waiting for a 20% move in the original alert price. When that move happens, I'm going to get in, and then I'm usually looking to sell at a 50% move of the original alert, which for me is a 30% move. And then on top of it, I'm always looking and developing my support and resistance, because if the theta is going to kill my option and the IV is too high, then I'm not going to be necessarily getting into an option, because I don't want to be paying too much for the option. So I'll go ahead and I'll look at the underlying, and then I'll be waiting for those support, the support or resistance to break on either end, and then that's what I'll go ahead and play. I like to play stocks in a channel, but I like to play stocks in a channel when it's on a daily. Like right now, for example, I'm watching BBIG. BBIG's on between 8:55 and 10. It's literally bouncing between back and forth on the channel. But playing that on a 1 minute, 5 minute candle is very dangerous. That's a dangerous game to play intraday. So I'll play things in a channel if they're very especially high large cap stocks that are more predictable on the movements. Those playing within channel are easier to play. I would not recommend playing things in the channel on small caps. I look for breakouts on small caps. So I hope that
Got it.
helps.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic explanation of your process. And I know that you outlined it really well. If anybody's not already following Shark, you can see all of it on his page. He is not secretive with his process. Very open, very sharing, very transparent, which is awesome. All right, Shark. So let's just take a look at a couple of these others real quick, because I know that we have a couple of things we want to cover, and then we have two more guests at 10. So it looks like you also put out for Annie, IQ, BTU, PBR, and SGOC. I see Annie is kind of soaring. I mean, that's like 17%, I think. And then I see SGOC is down several percent, so a couple hits. We're about 25 minutes in, so I know you like to wait till about 30 minutes. Are you watching any of these for potential trades?
So okay, right now, any I am watching for sure for potentially. BBIGs is interesting. If you're so BBIG is one just because everyone's talking about it too. Look right now, if anyone is trading it, especially I do watch the 1 minute candle leading in, just because you don't have as much data on the 5 minute. I like to trade on the 5 minute, but leading in, I like to see what's happening. And you're seeing this a complete volume downtrend, right? So I'm not extremely excited about that one, right? So now let's go over to any, and that's the complete opposite, okay? And that's why I wanted to show the correlations. So if you're looking at a chart, BBIG, bring up the 1 minute chart, bring up any ANY on the 1 minute chart, okay? You're seeing a complete difference in volume spikes, right? This one is increasing throughout the day, where ANY, as BBIG is decreasing, okay? So BBIG, I'm gonna be waiting for a volume spike. I need right now a 4 million volume spike on the 1 minute candle for this thing to really start to soar, because we've had ones break a 3 million, but hasn't done poo-poo, right? So on any though, I am excited, right? And I'm waiting for another volume spike. I'm waiting for probably for something over 250 at this point, or right, I am going to be waiting for a 620 break on the one. I like the 1 minute candle at the 620 break. If 620 breaks, I like that we can run to 640 quickly, right? And then if we break 620, immediately what's going to happen, I think that we'll spike up to 625. I'll move my stop loss up to 620. This one is going to be a fast break, fast mover. So I probably be playing the underlying, especially with the price point. Okay, the option, if you don't like fast moves, the option is going to be moving crazy fast because it's already a fast moving stock on the underlying. So for me, because I like charting, because I like TA, because I believe in all of that, I'll be playing A and Y on the underlying. But that's another one that was a lot of large options activity on the buy side end of day Friday, right? Which made me lead into being like, that's very interesting, because any had a spike. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong candle. So last day, any gapped up and then kind of was flat, but then had a nice end of day, right? But what I didn't like at any was the last 30 minutes of the day was a pullback, right? It was not worrisome. It was just wondering, right? So you develop an analysis. We're getting close to that. And then what I did like was, okay, so when I looked at everything and I did my analysis, it actually lead me to believe that rather than a pullback in the last 30 minutes, it was actually people taking profits, because there's a lot of large options being purchased. And I'm talking about like end of day, like last minute of the day. So this right now has obviously led to that. There's that volume spike that happened around 9:48, 6:48 my time this morning that has really helped. So look, we didn't break volume. The highest volume of the day was at 9:37. Just over 350K, right? But then if you see at 9:48, we broke the highest volume of the day. And for me, like, that's exactly what I like to teach my community, is that's called a volume uptick, right? And that volume uptick only led literally to a little breakout from 6 to 640. And then it started to kind of pull back in volume right at that 634 level. And then basically 652, we had a pullback because volume followed through. With these social sentiment stocks, technical analysis is important, but the volume is king. Okay, if you're watching volume, it's going to help you find where the good entries are and when to usually sell. When you're having volume correlating on the uptrend, right, and you have a volume uptick like we did here on any, literally right at 9:48. Okay, and 9:48, you would have seen the volume break. You would have seen that your volume slowly starting to rise at 9:47, right? And then 9:46, 9:48, you had the big break. Okay, but 9:47, you would have been interested because we did break. We had a little cup that was forming here, and we broke 6. I would have been very interested. We were just talking. I would have been very interested here. I probably would have looked to get in here at 6 because of that. And then the very next candle, you had a huge volume spike, which led you from 6 all the way to 640, which is a great trade for a 3, 4, 5 minute trade. So that's exactly what I would have done if we weren't talking. I'm watching it now specifically for a 620 break, and then correlating with a large volume spike. I will be looking to play this. And then 620, once 620 breaks, I'll be moving up my stop loss. I'll probably be looking for the 620 to 640. Once 640 breaks, I'll move my stop loss up again to 640. All following with volume. Sorry if that's a lot.
Yeah. No, that was awesome. That was perfect. All right, I got one last one, and then this will be my last one, and then we'll keep it moving. And that is going to be MMAT. Have you taken a look at it at all today?
Yeah. So I actually did you see a tweet I just sent out on MMAT? So if you go to if you're following me, I actually literally just sent out a call sweep of 8. So this was this morning, about 27 minutes ago. MMAT had an $8 call sweep near ask for 742 at $1.40. So that's pretty big. OMB Interesting. B now. Oh, look, see, I told you guys that's why you wait. You wait on BBIG, right? BBIG today broke 847 on the downtrend and literally just pulled back almost 50 cents. That's exactly why you wait, and you're also waiting for that break on that resistance. Like we talked about today, 10 was the resistance I was breaking for on the uptrend. I was also waiting for BBIG on 846. Sorry, I just got fired on my short, and I literally it's I think it's halted right now. But I got in on a short because I had a short firing off if it broke 840. So sorry, I that's good on BBIG. So I should be
It
making
is
money on
currently
that.
halted right now, by the way.
Yep, it's halted on a downtrend, so I should be making pretty good money on that one. So that's good. MMAT, I'll get back to that one. So MMAT had an $8 call sweep, near the ask at 742. Now that was this morning, right? Again, MMAT, look at the volume. Look at the volume candle, right? Huge volume this morning. That correlated with that MMAT was at 28 minutes ago. It was basically 4 minutes into market. So volume was still somewhat there. Price was looking like it was there, but look, it didn't break 580. Round numbers too, if you guys don't already know, are very, very strong in the trading market. People like to focus around round numbers. So just, and for some reason, MMAT, that was the same thing. 780. Sorry, 580 decided that it was going to get rejected. Same thing here with MMAT. If MMAT makes a new low of the day, okay, which is at 849, I'll be looking to short that gap down. Gaps, just remember, the market doesn't like to have gaps, so there is a high probability, and it's literally up towards 70% plus of when a gap does happen within a 5 to 10 day period, that gap is usually closed. So I just like to pay attention to gap ups, and I like to pay attention to stocks that gap up hard and then volume starts to deteriorate along with price. That usually leads to that gap being filled. So that's what I'm watching. So yeah, actually right now I'm just watching BBIG. But remember, like I said, guys, I was waiting for it to see what way it was going. I don't play things in the channels, right? Like we talked about, especially intraday, but I'll play a breakout either or. And I kind of have things ready to fire off if it breaks out on the upside or on the downside. And it's funny that literally during the middle of our talk, because I was building out my short option if it was going to break that as we were speaking, and it just fired off. So it's just, it's good. It's always good to have a plan. Always trade with a plan. But for the time being, it seems like social sentiment sucks, or the volume's not there, right? And if volume's not there, then you're not going to get those large price action on the bull side. Okay, what it will do is it will slowly grind down, and there are opportunities for bearish people. Now I know not everyone likes to hear that, right? But as a shark, I hate to say it, that I like to make money in any market environment. I don't like to come to the market and try to predict what's going to happen in market circumstances. Now look at AMC though at the same time, right? AMC's gapped up, is starting to go. Volume has stayed there all day with AMC. Okay, so that is very nice. So it's just, you got to, like I said, you got to make sure you have your social sentiments, watch list created, and you need to see where it's going. Right, they're going to large caps, they're going to small caps. Where is the money flowing in and out of? Right, and I like to also see what is the chatter on the street? What are people talking about, right? So that's why I wanted to bring up AMC as we were talking. As these ones were failing, people are taking money, right, out of these BBIGs, that kind of stuff, and they're obviously flowing it into these the OGs of the Wall Street bets, right? The AMCs, the GMEs, and those ones. So sorry if I took too much time. I really didn't mean to. I know I don't usually do these during the day because crazy stuff happens. Like, oh my God, I got in a trade as I'm literally in a Spaces conversation. So, but make sure, like I said, everyone in this community, and once again, thank you, Wolf, thank you, Wall Street, thank you guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys for having me on the Spaces. This is actually a lot of fun. But that's why we also wait for a 20% move in our options before we get in, because I also, this is just literally live showing you why I like to wait first 30 minutes before I normally enter a trade, is because I like to just see what the trend is for the day. Where are we developing support and resistance? All right, and now so we got back in now. Okay, sold. Yeah, I sold it when it popped to 8. I sold it just because I didn't want it reversing on me. I like that. I liked having and we're talking, so I can't have as much. Yeah. So basically, what I did was right when we opened, I put my stop loss. If it decided to go on upwards to 8, I didn't want to get broken because I made a nice little trade there. So that's not bad. I'll take 40 cents. It's okay. I'll take that all day, any day. Especially while I'm on the spaces.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, anyways, with these high movers and these fly movers, you got it. Volume's king. So watch, volume picked up right away. Okay. And we're starting to already on the 1 minute chart, we're making higher volume trends, right? And that's why BBIG is starting to uptick, right? And it's going to be the same thing for all of them throughout the day. So MMAT, if you're watching that, wait for volume, right? Right now, volume's low and you're not getting any price action, okay? Same thing for any, right? Right now, any has obviously, it had a little pyramid effect where around 850 was actually 949 was the highest volume candle of the day, and then we started deteriorating from 949. Now that one had a follow through because 950 was okay volume, but 950 started to slow down. And as 950 slowed down with volume, as you're seeing price action slow down. So you just got to make sure, especially with these high flyers, these Momo stocks, you got to make sure that you're paying attention to volume. And if volume is going to be there, then you will get price action. Yeah. So anyways, thank you for having me. I know it was kind of long. It's funny. We literally just got into a BBIG trade as we were talking. And there's a reason why you put stop losses, right? I immediately, right, and this thing's already starting to uptick down, and that's why, I don't try to control anything. If something moves in my favor, especially a spike, if you're ever trading anything, community, and you have a spike that happens like in a 1 to 5 minute candle, move your stop loss up there, right? Because you can always get back in, right? This is something that I might play BBIG all day today. I might play it like a fiddle because every single time it comes up to that moment, it might hit. So perfect example now is it needs to break 846. 846 is going to be a strong resistance. Even though it's coming up, it needs to break that if it wants to start to trade within that 846 to 10 channel again. And for that to happen, you need volume. And right, so your volume kind of helped out of the halt. It's kind of started to slowly deteriorate. It got close to 846, and now it's starting to slowly pull back, right? Support and resistance play very strong because trading is a psychological game, right? It's a psychological warfare out there. So everyone is seeing those support and resistance, right? So you having most people play those as well. So that's why it builds up and why they're so strong is because everyone else is looking at the same chart.
Absolutely. It's a crazy ecosystem. All right, Shark, I'm sure that people can catch a lot more of you. Appreciate you coming on. I know you're also, 3 hours behind where we are, so it's super early for you. So appreciate the dedication to that. I assume you'll probably be live streaming sometime throughout this week, right?
Yeah, so we'll live stream every day. We go every single day, 5 p.m. Eastern to usually about 7, do a nice 2 hours. It's an hour after the market, so we kind of like to do a little bit of a market recap. I like today right now, it's 7 o'clock, so Unusual Whale just started with their alerts. So I'll be hunting all day at Unusual Whale. I'll share my watch list with the community. If you guys follow me, we'll go ahead and we'll talk about that. First alert today came from something we just talked about was AFRM and that Apple acquisition, that Apple partnership that we were discussing this morning. So I think it was Stock Talk was discussing. Expiration 9/17. It's actually a pretty large one that came in just right now. 17% difference. So it's 110 call. So it's definitely out of the money. It's right in line of what we're talking about when it comes to like the Shark Trinity strategy. Usually we're looking for a 10% differential within a 30-day window. And that usually leads to a nice little pop within a 10-day period. Obviously, AFRM has already moved this morning. But based on some of the news, if there is a confirmation, just like Stock Talk spoke about, or Stock Talk Week spoke about, there hasn't been like that Apple confirmation, right? So if Apple comes out and does that confirmation, then there's been a lot of analyst talk on it. That's only going to make the stock soar even further. But that is an interesting one. That's a large call option that came through. Will probably be one that I do analyze throughout the day. And it literally is today's third alert that came in. SBRT was another one with a 40 call that I will be analyzing as well, because that was $1 million option purchase that just came through with a 10% differential, and it is heavily shorted. So that might be another one to be looking into.
Awesome, man.
Perfect.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. Just quickly, that story that you were talking about, it was Amazon and Affirm, and I believe it was
Sorry, not
confirmed.
sorry. Apple was GSAT. I apologize.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
bad.
yeah. No, no worries. I just wanted to make sure we got that for everyone down below. We really loved what you gave there, and actually, I see Peter just requested to speak up here, so I think that interaction could be really good between you guys. So, would love for you to stick along, Shark, if you can. I get it's early, but we really appreciate you. And I think with Peter and Katherine up here now, I think we want to move on to our next section, right, guys?
Hello.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
Peter, how are we?
Hey, guys.
What's all right? Let's roll into it. So, Evan, sorry, we ran a little bit long on that last one, so we didn't really go into calendar stuff. But perhaps we'll do that after. But we have Katherine and Peter here now, so let's keep it moving. All right, Peter, what's going on? Are you at the NICE?
I am at the NICE. Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful day here. Markets, you know what? Look, this is coming in the last day of the month. It's really super important to try and analyze what the Federal Reserve did last week with Mr. Powell at Jackson Hole. And clearly they sang every friggin' song that the bulls wanted to hear, right? That, the economy is actually doing okay, that the variant is a wild card, that we would love to be able to say to you all, you know what, things look good enough, we're hitting on every piston, and we're going to sort of slowly taper into the strength of the market and the economy. And that was not what they gave. They kind of, even though there's there is definitely dissent amongst the ranks of all the Federal Reserve governors. At the end of the day, the one who wields the heavy hand is Mr. Powell, and he basically said, guys, we do not want to take a chance that if we start to taper now, that we could dislocate the strength of the market, and which would really dislocate any hope we have of strength in the economy. So we're just going to stay the course, and when we will make a data-driven decision when everything lines up, when the planets align, everyone's standing on one foot, singing Kumbaya, and it's all good. So for now, hey, Andrew Heisiger on the call. How you doing, buddy? Quant Data's here. Hi, Katherine. Hey, everybody. So for right now, it's a tale of the bulls, baby. That's all. What can I say?
Absolutely. What's going on, Katherine?
Good morning, guys.
Good morning. You've been sticking with us for a little while here.
Yeah, I always like to tune in and kind of hear what everyone's thinking. It's like it's almost become part of my market research for the day, so I appreciate it.
What are you on the lookout for? Oh yeah, Evan.
No, honestly, that was more or less the question, Katherine. I know you love to put out that to your followers, like what are you watching for this morning? And I know you like to do it all the time. Have you noticed anything with that recently? What your followers are watching? Anything different?
Who's talking? Yeah, Katherine.
Yeah, to Katherine. Sorry.
So it seems like people more or less are kind of watching what has like the highest momentum. Like I actually skipped it today just because I woke up late. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't have a morning meeting, so I was like, I'm gonna sleep in. But just based on what I've seen, I think that probably one of the top stocks that would have been mentioned would be like Affirm and Amazon, obviously. But honestly, the stock that I'm digging into and have been digging into for the past like hour is support.com, because it's always interesting. And I'm curious if like you guys are seeing this too, where we see media come out with saying like, oh, it's a Wall Street Bets name, it's a short squeeze. And then I struggle to find like any thesis or any like real mention, like meaty mention on something like Wall Street Bets, where they're really talking about it. Like when I was scrolling through Wall Street Bets 45 minutes ago, most of the conversations that at least caught my eye were like talking about how bullish people are on the market and whether or not it's a bubble. It's kind of a weird disconnect in a way.
I have looked quickly on a couple of the sources that I use to track the sentiment, and truthfully, I have not seen anything too crazy around support. Like it did peak up, but not to levels that some of other names have in the past, and not, and there are names that have been mentioned more on there. So it is definitely interesting, that name for me.
Real news. So on Wall Street Bets, you can't post about the stock that's worth under 1 billion. So if the market cap is under 1 billion, you can't post about that.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Yeah. I didn't know that.
And
I didn't know that.
support.com is 900 million. So If they cross 1 billion, you might see mentions. Until then, no mentions on Wall Street Bet for them.
So
So
do
just
they
to let
have
you guys
like
know too, I have a data scraper, and SBRT did pop up in both the Discord and Wall Street Bets for this morning chatter and weekend chatter. Just to let you guys know.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay, good to know.
so wait,
Yeah, these
I don't.
stories are leaking out way over Wall Street Bets at this point, guys. There are other conversations. You can just tell from the price action in SPRT last week, insanity completely. And I beg everybody trading that stock to use technical analysis because there's incredible opportunities. We were in and out of that stock literally 10 times last week. And if you don't use technical analysis, you got yourself creamed. So, in response to what Catherine said, there's so many other platforms now that are talking about these stocks. Wall Street Bets is almost passe to a certain extent. All you need to do is look at the price action and know that there's chatter somewhere.
I think that the biggest thing that I've noticed with this whole social sentiment thing is you will see the stock price move up first, and then the social sentiment, the social conversation usually follows it. So it's like,
Exactly. Sorry, not to interrupt, but
Yeah.
exactly. And I think that's what, like, that to me, when I'm doing my reporting, is where I see the disconnect almost, because it shouldn't be like, I don't know, maybe I'm being too traditional on this, but you'd think that it would be actually the opposite, right?
I agree
What do you
completely.
mean?
So like, you go, Catherine.
As in, like, it should be before we see true sentiment, it should be that we're seeing more mentions and then people are jumping onto the sentiment.
You know what, though? It's kind of funny. The way, it's sort of people, it's the fear of missing out, right? I mean, we're seeing there are algos that will respond to content, and there are people that get into a trade, and you're seeing the herds, gather in kind of in the nooks and crannies. It's almost that they don't want too many people getting in because becomes so dangerous. So, I don't follow Wall Street Bets and I don't follow the herd conversation and Discord. I just kind of watch the stock and you kind of tell from the action that, oh my God, these things are just, look at the way that stock traded last week. And, these are, it's becoming, look, it's sort of funny. We are almost having, when you were able to look at Wall Street Bets and know where the herds were going, then you could sort of get there, focus on it, and get some sense of what's going on. Now it's sort of, it's disseminating into the nooks and crannies of the internet. I would imagine there are groups of people who are, having conversations in places we haven't even heard of yet. But you can surely see it living itself out in the stock.
I definitely agree. I think the biggest thing there for me is that Wall Street Bets became kind of mainstream, whereas those conversations about what was moving next kind of turned into what just moved. And I feel like those conversations, like Peter is saying, are happening in weirder places. By the time it gets to Wall Street Bets and then Twitter, it's already been disseminated through so many people that I feel like the reason for that is Wall Street Bets. I feel like the social, the financial community knows to look at it now, and they're
Gab,
on
you
there
there?
just as much.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. And it kind of feeds into exactly what Shark said, which is a lot of these conversations do happen on platforms such as Discord. Like, I start to see more mentions of stocks that then hit the like news wires 2 or 3 days later on the Discord channels I'm in. And I'm not even in that many.
What about from a more
I was just
oh yeah,
saying
go for it, Char.
the new thing that's really popular, and I don't know if you guys have been in yet, because I've been invited into a handful of them, and I'm starting to see social sentiment beforehand. Is Telegram, right? They used to use those before, but now even more so because it has to be on invite basis. It has to be something that's a little bit more protected. But their social sentiment on those are starting to get a lot more like BBIG's social sentiment on some of my Telegram stuff last week on Monday was huge. Monday of last week, and then you got the run up this week. So you guys are right in the sense that conversation is starting to go in other places because they do know that people, the suits in regards, right? Those guys are starting to monitor those places, so they have to change and go in other places for those conversations.
I wonder if we're going to
Guys,
be getting.
what I find so baffling and so dangerous is that these are These are opinions. We know everything about opinions, right? When you have a stock that's trading in the way that SPRT did last week, for no particular reason, these things are going up and going down for no reason except people are talking about them, right? And I promise you that there may be some people out there who are making money on this thing. I would bet you the majority, the way that stock traded last week, a majority of people are getting blown up on this. When a stock goes up and down with absolutely nothing behind it, no fundamentals, no news, no nothing, except a bunch of buffoons chatting about it, well, that's dangerous. That's dangerous territory, guys. So, I mean, I look, for me, you know, uh, um, all these meme stocks are great opportunities if people know the tools of technical analysis. Otherwise, it's really it's a game of craps. And I promise
And
you, we're not hearing about the people who are getting blown up on it.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. And actually, that's what we talked about earlier. Was I play this more around technical analysis always, right? Is I use the chatter from the street to see where the volume and the flow may be going to, right? And then I use that chatter to then see what's going to happen. Like, for example, we talked about BBIG today, and I already said that if it broke 846, look to be shorting it, and you're already being up $1 on it already, right?
Absolutely. Look, there is nothing wrong with following the chatter to find places where you're going to get great volatility, great price action, and great volume, right? Those are three key criteria for you. If you then find the stock, plug it into your charts, and look for opportunity, it's gold, right? It's a great opportunity. But just because people are talking about it and doing that, and then you just jump in because 900 people who do not have your best interest involved are buying it, and you end up buying it at the top because that you're the last schnook into the race, means you're going to lose. People need to know what risk management is about stop orders. People need to know what moving averages are, what relative strength is, right? What pivot points are. When you find a stock that everyone's talking about, it's a beautiful thing. But then you need to institute the strict tools and criteria of technical analysis to know that you have the probability in your favor that you're going to win more times than you're going to lose. Whenever you get into a trade on the long side or the short side, that you put a stop order in immediately, that you have a plan how to get out and get in of the stock and make it profitable, right? Because otherwise, when a stock does what SPRT did last week, right, the chances are, if you don't protect yourself with a stop order, if you just buy in without knowing where the support of the resistance is, you're going to get blown up, or you're going to spend 3 weeks trying to get back to even. And that is just irresponsible, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing from that for me is that in traders, the ones who win are the ones who put in the work, know what they're doing, and stick to a plan and have that. The people who lose are the newer people who come in and just YOLO options, do whatever. The trading is a full-time job, and it's not necessarily a fun and glamorous one. You have to be willing to put in that work on the back end. It is a lot of work. It really is, and not everyone notices that.
Anything else from a macro perspective, I guess, Catherine, or Peter, that you're both looking at this week? We've done a lot of, I feel like, individual stocks, talking about specific trades and stuff. Anything you're looking at big picture, similar to how we kind of had some Fed stuff last week and things along those lines?
Well, I think I'm curious to see how sentiment goes through this week with the Fed speech. Because, like, for example, when I talked to Real Money's Stephen Guilfoyle last week for The Street, it kind of stood out to me because he praised Powell. He said that was one of the best Fed speeches he's heard in a really, really, really long time. So I'm kind of curious to see just how long that bullish sentiment lasts, because this market has been so hyper-focused on the Fed. But the other things that I'm watching other than that would definitely be Hurricane Ida. I mean, just how can this really impact the Gulf Coast? How can this impact the offshore drilling and things like that? And then, of course, we haven't seen any real market impact from Afghanistan. But because that is such a big worldwide event, that's definitely on my radar as well.
Yeah, absolutely. With the hurricane, it's crazy that it's 16 years to the same day as Katrina, that it's hitting. What were we saying, Peter?
You know what? I was going to mimic. First of all, Stephen Guilfoyle is also incredibly bright, and I've known him for years and years. And I will agree that I thought it was one of the great speeches of all time from Fed Chairman Powell. He was a gangster. He was describing everything to a T. He was painting the picture that everybody, you know, anybody could really understand clearly what he was saying. And I know there is dissent amongst the ranks there, but he's the one that wields the heavy stick. I think what we need to watch is this. Look, we are coming into the end of August. August is traditionally a down month. Obviously, this is not. This is not that August, right? Market seems to forge higher, and I agree with Catherine. How long will the bullish sentiment proceed? I think we're going to see fresh money coming in September. They sang every tune that the Bulls want to hear on that speech, meaning that we need a little more time before we can really pull the trigger on tapering. And I believe that tapering will be the only thing that could dislocate this rally. We're going to see fresh money coming in September, right? We do have the Jewish holidays, which are always a fascinating event, right? You buy on Yom Kippur, sell on Rosh Hashanah, or the other way around. It's always a fun game, and it usually works. I think what's really important to note is we have the MSCI tomorrow. There's going to be some MSCI is the Morgan Stanley rebalance. That's going to be rather large as we've seen markets rally into that. So there's going to be a little bit of a rotation around the markets, but I don't see anything. I don't believe that if we were going to react to the if the market was going to react to the Afghanistan story, and this is not to say anything short of that it's a disaster there and we send everyone there our prayers and whatnot, that it's going to have an effect on the market and or Katrina, Ida. These things, if they are the only focus in the market, sometimes when they happen, the market does engage them. For now, I think people sort of winding down their August, still focusing on the Fed story, and they're going to be fresh money coming in September. It doesn't seem like anything is going to dislocate this rally for now. That's my feeling.
I do just want.
Sorry, Evan, but Peter, because I feel like I ask you this every single time, and I have to keep asking you this. But do you think that this market rally is too hot?
If this market rally is what?
Too hot. Like, have we been going too long, too high?
You know what? Yeah, of course I do. There's a part of me that does, just because, look, it's so funny that I'll tell you one thing. I found out a little tidbit. I had dinner with a guy the other day who was an old trader from Wall Street, was here for 35, 40 years. He's the ultimate bear. There are some traders who just always love to play the short side. And those guys, they're infamous in so many ways. There's some, you see them on CNBC. They're the bears of the market, and I've known a number in my career who are like that. And he's a big spider trader, and he said to me, Peter, that for the first time in years and years and years, the price of borrowing spiders to short is at the lowest that the spider ETF offers, meaning that there is a virtually non-existent short position in the spies, which means is that everybody who's been a bear has gotten blown out of the water. They've surrendered to the marketplace. They've given up that game, and they've said, you know what? I cannot no longer stand in front of a roaring train, guys. Right? So yes, Catherine, it does seem that this market is a bit long in the tooth. If you look at the rally we've seen since March 2020, but let's be clear of why it is where it is. Right, in 2007, the Federal Reserve threw $800 billion at the market over 3 years to bail out the great financial crisis. That was over 3 years, right? What happened in March 2020 was a $3 trillion toss over 3 months period. So the amount of fuel that's been thrown, and then a prolonged $120 billion buy program, which we've seen every month since then. So with that kind of support and backwind in the marketplace, with that kind of a backstop, which was reaffirmed once again by Jerome Powell on Thursday, that we are going to stand behind the market until the market doesn't need us any longer. That means that while we may sit here and analyze that, yes, it seems far along in the tooth, the market has got back to even by August. We've seen double-digit rallies since then. Does it make any sense? No. Does that mean it's going to stop? No. With the Federal Reserve backstopping it, does that mean we could see way higher valuations? Absolutely. If we actually see an end to the pandemic and a reopening of the economy and everybody just, that this boomerang just, not a boomerang, but a slingshot just finally takes off and we start seeing rallies in the reopening stories, in the hospitality, in the cruise ships and all that, and the airlines, when everything suddenly reopens, this market's got a lot more room to go higher. So while I agree with you to a certain extent, in the big picture, it doesn't make any sense that we're here in the eyes of still the wild card of the pandemic. For me, I'm one of these guys who always says the market's doing what it wants to do. The market tells me what it thinks about all this information, right? These are real people using real money to buy real stocks, right? And they've taken this market to where it is. And I think the appetite is here for it to be taken higher.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Before we get moving on to the next thing, all these speakers have been talking about, really and conveying really great information. But I think that a lot of them have also been talking about stuff they're doing outside of this. And, what they're saying is really great.
I think that little tidbit about the fact that nobody's out there borrowing spiders to short them is a gem of a little bit of information. That really means that the bears have thrown in the towel, guys. And when the bears throw in the towel, this market could go anywhere. Can you imagine how hurt these guys are? They've been shorting it since April of 2020. They're getting blown apart, right? They get hurt, they cover. They put more shorts out. They get hurt, they cover. I know guys who are covering up here at 35.5 in the Dow, on the S&P 4500. They are licking their wounds, guys. They have surrendered to the rally. They're not borrowing any spiders any longer, at least for a moment. I mean, you think about it. People would love to short this market at these levels. It's so long in the tooth, it's crazy. But that posturing has not worked for the last 18 months.
Absolutely. Evan, you had something there?
I was just going to say that all these people are giving us great information and they're doing amazing stuff on their own pages, with that.
Looks like Shark agrees with me.
So just definitely check them out. Make sure you give everyone up here a follow, and we'll keep it moving.
Absolutely. What section do you want to roll into next, Evan?
So, I think that we have some earnings, we have some other stuff, but with the amazing group of people we have up here, I kind of just want to keep this into a little bit more of an open conversation. And I think of a fun area that we could go into are NFTs.
Is it just me or I can't hear Evan?
Okay, I thought that was the case. Yeah.
You can't hear Evan?
No.
Interesting.
All right, well, someone purvey the question to him after, but just I feel like Peter actually might have a really great response to this, but just kind of NFT space, the recent run-up, and if anyone has any thoughts on them, or if anyone has bought any NFTs either.
Cool. Just for anybody who didn't hear the question, Peter, I think we actually talked about this the other day on our live stream, but Evan was just asking for general thoughts on NFTs, if anybody's bought any NFTs. Yeah, we could do a few minutes on this topic just because it's super topical and there's a lot of money been throwing around. I actually saw... maybe yesterday, someone told me that the volume on OpenSea, maybe this was you, Evan, I don't know. The volume on OpenSea is similar to eBay now. It was someone else, but basically, obviously, it's much larger purchases. You're getting these multi-million-dollar purchases. But it's crazy that their volume is approaching those levels. So, Peter, hopefully you can hear me. And Katherine, I'd love to get your thoughts on this as well as some others. Just general thoughts on, this NFT craze and the volume. But then on the other side of it, I've also seen, if you look at like Google Trends, the amount of people searching for things like NFT and the chatter about it is actually way, way less than you would expect. Sometimes when you get these like trends like Bitcoin and things like that, you just see these insane spikes in people searching for it, but we haven't actually seen that happen yet with NFT. So just something to consider. We'd love to get your thoughts, Katherine, and then Peter.
So, just for anyone who's not aware with my work, I am a journalist, so I can't give any opinions. I also don't buy NFTs because that would obviously bias my coverage. But I can kind of give like an oversight, which feeds into exactly what you were just saying, Gav, on like what I'm seeing. And I will say that it's interesting because I did look at the Google Analytics that you just referenced, and it really isn't there. I think I mean, just based on my research, it seems like there's a lot more NFT pitches being sent, at least to me. I'm not sure how other like journalists, especially crypto journalists, what their inboxes look like, but I'm getting a lot more as just like an overall market journalist. And then also, I'm seeing it a lot more on big accounts, like big accounts when it comes to Twitter, which I think might lead to more and more people, discussing it or interacting with those accounts, but perhaps not. That would explain not translating over to Google per se.
I'll,
Yeah,
I'll, I'll happily weigh in on the NFT story. Um, I find them fascinating. For me, it's kind of like crypto. It's something I really don't understand, but I love sort of trying to analyze it and seeing the trend and seeing what people are willing to spend money on. I am actually working on a huge release of NFTs of my own character, which I'm super excited about. My gut is with the whole NFT thing is if you want to enter it for yourself and make NFTs, which I'm now doing. I did a lot over the weekend working with two different artists. You've got to enter it in with no expectations because I've seen guys. I have a friend named Wisby who makes this thing called the Vandal Gummy. He's an artist and he was early into the NFT game. He got in September 2020. He released about 70 of them at $250. He was the first guy on Nifty Gateway that really sort of endorsed the whole idea, and he just sold $4.8 million worth of NFTs of a gummy bear, right? So there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's really a marketing and branding play, an advertising play. I love the space. I think it's fun. I don't get it, but I've sort of now I have about 3 or 4 that I'm working on. I'm doing a pixelated version of my little character, and I'm going to have fun with it. I think it's something you look at as fun. It's clearly, is it a bubble? Yeah, I kind of think so. I think it's kind of nuts, to be perfectly honest, that people are spending millions of dollars on a digital picture of a rock. But you know what? I think you go in with no expectations, you have fun. I've seen artists who actually, guys who I represent and I work with. I mean, artists, some one of the things that I love, who like Wisby, who's a friend of mine who grew in the space, made a fortune, and stepped away for a little while. All power to him. I love everybody who's successful. And then I've seen guys who sell their work, actual, brick and mortar, actually really pieces of art, and who tried to launch on OpenSea or Foundation, some of the other platforms, and completely blew up. So it's really, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Enter it with no expectations, have some fun. And, if you're flinging around millions of dollars and buying those, I wish you the best. But I'm enjoying watching what people will spend money on. I'm having a lot of fun trying to design and come out with a release. I am working with a company called My Social Canvas. It's a young social media company for Gen X women. They're releasing an animated NFT about 10,000 powerful women. And so, you know what? It's a great platform for people to get out there for awareness, for people to make some money. And that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Hey,
got
I
it.
see we brought Keith up here. Can you hear me, Keith?
Maybe he can't.
Oh,
Keith, can you
dang.
hear me?
Who's this? Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, maybe people just aren't hearing you, Evan. If you want to try to leave and rejoin, I'll bring you back up. Keith, I just brought you up. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just want to chime in a little bit about the NFTs. So NFTs, like what I've been explained to me about it is it's kind of like a digital trading cards, and they all have different unlockable features. And I mean, it is a big thing on the marketing too, but NFTs, I feel like they're definitely a thing of the future, and a lot of the internet kids are getting hardcore into it. There might be a little bit of a bubble, but I feel like in a couple years, like everyone's gonna have an NFT. All the famous people, all like, yeah, just like everyone. So, just like Pokemon was, and Pokemon got big. This is a little different because people just kind of got sick of like trading Pokemon and all that and collecting it. Some people still do, but I feel like on the internet, the actual being on the blockchain, having these NFTs on, Polygon or on Ethereum is getting really crowded because of all the gas. But I think they're going to find better ways to have and make NFTs and new marketplaces. And it's all intertwined with crypto. So most people that love crypto that are into it also are NFT artists or somewhat involved in NFTs. So they kind of correlate each other. They kind of like help each other and complement each other. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I just want to say that I mean, some people don't get it. If you don't get it, then you're kind of like not in it, you know. If like, but I think it's a really cool industry and something that has a lot of growth. And yeah, I'm excited for the NFTs. I love NFTs. I only pick NFTs. I'm not looking to sell or flip. I haven't even sold one NFT. I literally just collect for the fun of it. And no, that's really it. I like some of the artists and some of the work that I collect, but I don't really look to flip on stuff. I mean, and sometimes you can get these fake projects. You go into a project, you think it's real, and you buy, you know, a JPEG, and it's just a JPEG. It's not even on the blockchain. So you just got to watch out for scammers. Like crypto isn't a scam. I say this a lot, but there are a lot of scammers in crypto. So same thing with the NFTs. Yeah, just do your own research and be careful.
Can you guys all hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. So I want to try something here now that we got someone who's for NFTs, and I don't want to say against NFTs, but maybe don't get it as much, or maybe wouldn't go super bullish into it. So I'd love to try and ask Keith, like, what is, a possible downside of NFT, or what's a big risk from it? And then I would love to ask Katherine or Peter, is there something that like a long-term potential for it that they see it that maybe there's a bubble right now, but possibly, like Keith was saying, in 5 years there's a real use case with it. So I'd love to start with Keith, maybe starting with anything you've noticed as a possible risk factor or stuff like that.
I mean, the risk factor, you just get in the wrong project and it's completely, they kind of like rug you, you know? I mean, that's a big risk, just getting into the wrong things and you thinking it's worth a certain amount. It's not. Um,
Are
but
you
yeah,
worried? Is there anything like for NFTs as a whole, not specifically like one project, but like, is there anything that you see that like worries you that could maybe happen as small of a possibility in your eyes as possible that could like bring down the whole space or do something like that? Is there any risks like that you've seen while getting in?
no, I can't really think of anything right now. I'm really bullish on NFTs. I think there's going to be a great future with them, and I think everyone's going to have one. And especially all like the main celebrities and stuff. A lot of people are starting to get into it now. And it's just people still don't know what it is. So once everyone knows what NFTs are, I feel like it's going to take off. But but yeah, I can't really think of any big. I mean, obviously, if you invest in like a cyberpunk or one of these punks that are fake, because they do have fake, you know, they'll start a whole Telegram, they'll start a whole Twitter page with fake names, and then it's just really similar to what whatever the real name is. So I would just say be careful for the scammers and any fake projects. Make sure they're like verified on OpenSea or verified on Rarible or whatever platform you're using. That's all I would really say. But anyone looking to collect NFTs, I would just say look for art that vibes with you, that you really like. And if you're a flipper, then I don't know anything about that. Flipping NFTs, I mean, that's a whole different game. You have to learn a lot. So yeah, that's my opinion on it.
Awesome, man. Thank you. So just quickly, I've really only been flipping NFTs so far. I haven't been getting into the long term with it. And for me, it is pretty much exactly like a video game I used to play called FIFA Ultimate Team in that. I am more or less playing that video game through NFTs. So I'm having fun with that. But I wanted to get to Katherine or Peter here, just kind of the other side of that question. Is there anything underlying in NFTs that kind of excites you? Not necessarily a project, but like a use case or a potential with that? I'll start with you, Katherine, if that's cool.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, journalistically, I'm looking at this space to see kind of, if this is going to end up being a long-term story. And what I've heard so far when I sat down with people, I talked to Gary Vee a little bit on Twitter about NFTs, and both of them are very firm and they are here to stay. And as of right now, I don't see any reason why they would be wrong. I think that it really does feed back into what Keith said, which is, a lot of the negativity around NFTs come from people who may not necessarily understand it if you were to go into an in-depth conversation with them. So more like, I guess more willingness to learn might change the overall sentiment around NFTs. And the last time that I really went in depth with people about NFTs, he did compare it to a 90s bubble, but I don't know if that was in March, and I don't know if I would put that scenario to comparison to today's NFT market, quite frankly.
Fascinating. I appreciate that. Peter, do you have any thoughts on that, or should we keep it moving?
You know what? Look, if you're talking about it being a bubble, look, there are some people who are spending millions of dollars on these things, and that's up to them. I mean, look, we've seen it happen with art. I've been a art collector, and I've been an art mentor, and I've been in that space for a long time. Physical art. And look, people were baffled when a Basquiat traded for $140 million. An artist who in 1980, who I actually had met a couple of times, who was selling his, desperately selling his art for $100 a piece, and now it trades for 140 million. So look, is that a bubble? Who the heck knows? People find with art, they invest in it because they love it and it has value to them. When somebody's flinging around hundreds of millions of dollars, that's out of the realm of most people, surely out of my world and out of the people on the call. The NFT space, I find I'm having fun with it. I haven't launched any of them yet. It's kind of complicated. I put together a team to help me with this because I kind of look. I have a brand and I have fun and I'm out in the public and and I have my character and we're having a lot of fun with him and so I sort of, started making. I've found there are so many young artists who are using this space to really grow. I found a young guy who literally lives on the beach in Mexico City. He made an NFT for me, which I'm going to release. It's of my character climbing across the floor, climbing outside the stock exchange on the back of a bull and a bear, and that's fun. I mean, if you can have fun with this space and you don't have expectations going in, I appreciate what Keith said because it is so similar to the Pokemon craze. One of the projects I'm working on with my social canvas is this group of 10,000 women that are going to be animated generated NFTs that when you buy them, you actually don't know what you're going to get. You're going to purchase an NFT, and the algorithm is going to take qualities from all different kinds of women and come up. If you remember, when you were buying a Pokemon pack, they used to have a bunch of cards, and then they would have the shiny card. The shiny card was the the secret sauce inside your pack, right? That could have value, or it was cool, or it was a limited edition, or whatever. So the team I'm working with at my social canvas is actually making an NFT that you don't know what you're going to get. It's kind of like what's hiding behind the curtain. And I kind of think that's fun. Look, investing in art is fun. The amount of young artists who are just exploding into the NFT space is amazing. Creativity is at its peak here, and I love that part of it. If you can go out, I met a guy on Twitter yesterday, young guy who did some fun little NFTs that sell for like zero point zero 0.01 Ethereum. I bought a couple of them. It's the first one I actually bought. If you like the art and you're there to support a young artist, go for it, man. If you want to, I bought something for $32.38, zero point zero 0.01 Ethereum that I love. I have it on my phone now. It's super exciting. You know, if it goes up in value, hey, what a beautiful thing. But go into it with no expectations. It's like if you buy a piece of art on the street. We all have our different levels of what we do with our money, how much disposable income we have. But if we can go out there and support young artists and have some fun with this space, I think it's also here to stay. I'm going to release a whole bunch of them at all kinds of affordable prices. It's going to be fun whether you have it on your phone, whether you have it in a JPEG, whether you have a physical version of it, whether you put up a monitor in your house and you have it, rotating around. Art is fun. It brings happiness to everybody. And if we can support a bunch of young artists who are out there who are, just jumping into this space with all kinds of enthusiasm and creativity, I'm all in, man. I think it's great.
Awesome, everyone. Thank you guys for all the thoughts and insights there. If anyone in the crowd or listeners want to give us your thoughts on NFTs, there is a tweet pinned at the top here from Bullish Rippers. You can just kind of go in there and give us our thoughts. I'm sure a couple of the speakers up here would love to hear that, and maybe we'll go through that thread after. But I'll pass it back to Gav to keep it moving.
Okay, all. I think we've been running for about an hour and a half. I do want everyone to stick around because we're going to have a couple final points that have been pretty important to hear. But First off, just want to take a second to absolutely thank both the speakers, for coming on. People take time out of their days. These are busy people, like Peter's at the NICE, Catherine's a reporter, Shark is live trading. We heard it as it was going on, and all the others. So we deeply appreciate you taking a second out. And then to the listeners, you make it all worth it, right? We're getting up early. We're doing our research. We're putting together things because you make it all worth it. I know, to get on and see hundreds of people wanting to come and listen and see live streams and listen to spaces. It's an incredible thing. It's a community, and we're grateful to be a part of it. I'm just going to go round to our speakers right now. Would love to give them kind of a last minute just to, if there's anything else they want to talk about, if there's anything they want to alert you to, that would just be awesome. And I'm just going to start out with Shark.
No, thank you for having me. Everyone in the audience, go ahead and follow every one of these speakers. Absolutely wonderful spaces. This is such. Some gems were being dropped all over. Like I'm not gonna lie, I was taking notes. And Peter, thank you for actually that note of that the Bears are no longer barring against the Spider. That's literally something that I took note on, and I appreciate that. But no, more importantly, actually, even I do want to, I guess, not piggyback, but get into the space of just, if you guys don't know NFTs, look into it. Research about it. There's a lot of people back in the day when I first bought crypto that told me that was crazy. They didn't know anything about it. And now they're the ones almost the biggest proponents of crypto. Okay. Just go and learn about it. It's a fun space. I've learned about it. I have some NFTs as well. And it's something that's exciting. Keith was doing an amazing job, and Peter is right on point. Have fun with it. Find things that you like. Other than that, thank you for having me, and I feel grateful. I mean, this is literally a group of legends up here, and I'm very thankful for being here. So thank you.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely be taking a closer look at some of the option trades you had up there. Just a reminder to everybody, the Bullish Rippers account, which is right up here next to me, you can see that they're actually sponsoring the trade of the week for us each week. We go ahead, we put some money into an option call, allows us to publicly share that, to learn about the opportunity. I think it's a really, really cool thing that they're doing. So highly recommend checking that out. They have a newsletter. They have a really great account as well. All right. Stock Talk Weekly. You're up here in the beginning and you kind of chilled out with us. Still around?
Yeah, I'm still here. Just been listening. Just something on the NFT thing, just a simple and salient point to make. I think, when you're comparing NFTs and crypto, with a lot of these crypto projects going forward, their valuation case is going to be based on use case. And the good thing about NFTs is they don't need a use case. It really is just about subjective appreciation of the asset. If people will pay something for it, like, the age old phrase, it's worth what somebody will pay for it. That is really applicable to NFTs. With a lot of these new crypto projects, they are not going to have sustained value unless they have a real world application and, people see them being integrated in some sort of fashion. So I think, if you view them both as bubbles, which I think at the end of the day, everything's a bubble, really. The market's a bubble, crypto's a bubble, but like, how big can bubbles get before they pop? That's the crux of the question, right? So, but yeah, I don't think NFTs aren't a bubble, but at the same time, I think, these valuations can keep ramping up for a lot of these projects because it really is about supply and demand. And then beyond that, about subjective appreciation of something that doesn't have a set value on it. So that's really my perspective on NFTs. But, other than that, I think another thing just to say in conclusion is, today I think a lot of traders from last week, especially FinTwit traders who were chasing a lot of these squeeze names like BBIG, SPRT, ATER, Neuro, these things that ran huge on Friday and we're expecting continuation today. I would encourage those traders, learn some more technical analysis, learn where key support levels are, learn where key resistance levels are, and don't just blindly buy things because everyone's talking about them, because you're going to end up getting caught holding a bag, which I feel like a lot of traders this morning are, who chase these names either late Friday or pre-market today. So yeah, just be careful.
Great insight as always. And also, dude, absolutely. I just got to say, your voice is perfect for spaces. Some people just have it. It works.
Thank you.
All right, Katherine.
Well, first up, thank you as always for having me, because it's always not only exciting to get to interact with you guys, especially since we've been working from home for like 2 years now, but it's also just nice to hear so many different thoughts and opinions and takes on the market, especially for retail investors, which is my focus when it comes to journalism. But with that said, I mean, I think I've said everything that I'm watching, and I just, because there's so many people on here and I don't know who's familiar with me and who's not. I do love to talk to retail investors and traders. So if there's anyone who wants to just bring a stock to my attention or just, talk to me about your strategies, please feel free to reach out.
Love to see it. Yeah, Catherine's super approachable and was very, very nice to come on here. And hopefully we'll be back on again because we love that 10 a.m. dynamic duo of you and Peter. Speaking of which, Peter.
Hey guys, thanks, Gav. Thanks, really an honor to be here. Guys, everybody, check out Catherine. She's wonderful, and she will just talk to you. She's so bright, she's engaging, and she's wonderful. So check her out. And it's so great to be here with this team. I didn't know Stock Talk before. Shark, welcome. Keith, good to hear you. I want to bring to everyone's attention, there's a gentleman on this call. He's a listener, but his name is Andrew Heisiger, and he runs a company. He's 19 years old. He's from Florida, and he runs a company called Quant Data, guys. Quant Data. Check it out on Twitter. Check it out on Instagram. He and I are partnering up. They are a company that aggregates unusual option activity, and not like the Nigerians and all that horse shit. Excuse my language. These guys are curating information directly from the exchanges and giving information to the retail trader that's usually available only to the institutions. So go check them out. It's affordable, it's curated, it's gangster, and I'm a big fan of Andrew. I love the team here at Wolf. It's an honor to be on. One thing I also will say to mimic what Stock Talk said is, guys, and look, I would love to actually arrange with Gav to have a FinTwit conference on technical analysis. You guys, if you don't know, I teach a course called Wall Street Global Trading Academy, right, with my partner David Green. You can see it anywhere you want to go. But look, these are dangerous waters to be messing with, guys. And as I started to say, and I'm so glad Stock Talk mentioned it, is that there are people out, we're hearing about the guys who made millions of dollars, getting on board some of these crazy meme names and whatnot. But we're not hearing about the guys who are chasing the internet, using hope as a strategy, and really holding the line and end up holding the bag, right? I promise you, first of all, in the day trading space, 89% of day traders lose just because they don't have good habits. They don't have the tools of technical analysis. Then you've got this very loud voice and chatter that the internet is telling you what to do, and you don't know who the hell these people are. And you're buying stocks that have just ran up 80% because you don't want to be FOMO'd on the whole game. And what you're watching is you're getting your account blown up. You're spending months trying to get back to even. So I beg of you, whoever you're going to learn from, technical analysis is the only defense against this whole thing. What I'm going to be doing with Andrew Heisiger at Quant Data is we're going to be, check out Quant Data, check this out. We're doing a masterclass on risk management through the eyes of the meme phenomenon, guys. There is no better time watching the way these stocks trade to learn how to install technical analysis as a tool in your game, in your box, guys. I beg of you, because I want everybody now, all the barriers to entry in this market are down. Everybody with $10 and a friggin' cell phone can trade the market. I just don't want you guys to come to this party, get drunk and silly, lose all your friggin' money, and then just be angry at everybody because it didn't work for you. I want everybody to be successful in this thing, and technical analysis is the only key. So whoever you learn it from, reach out to me. I'll help you. We're going to do hopefully a fun thing with Gav and the boys on technical analysis. We'll invite Stock Talk and everybody. But this is the key to the game right now, guys, technical analysis. So I beg you all to check it out. And it's a pleasure being on the call. Thanks.
Always a pleasure having you. And real quick, Jay Woods just popped up here. Jay, did you have something you wanted to say?
No, not at all. I just saw you guys on, and I just wanted to hear Peter Tuchman talk and see what you guys were talking about, what the topic of the day was. But no, I was just eavesdropping. No agenda. Why? What's up? What are you guys following? SPRT today? I assume that's one of the hot topics.
SPRT.
We've definitely chatted over a few, but we're more moving into the close now. But yeah, these things went pretty crazy. It was definitely interesting to see. Cool.
No,
cool.
I was watching Amazon. I like to follow stocks that I believe in for the long term that are making bigger moves. So Amazon, Apple look good to me today, and obviously I keep an eye on those meme stocks. They're a little crazy, but we're not dabbling there.
Apple
Absolutely.
actually just crossed back to all-time highs. So that is my largest holding. So that was a happy day for me so far.
There you go.
Absolutely, very fair. Cool. All right, just going to keep this wrap up moving. Keith?
Yeah, thank you guys for having me up. I appreciate it. I just wanted to say the last thing about NFTs. Look into it. Just like who said this before, no expectations. Go into it with no expectations. Check it out. It's kind of more for fun, in my opinion. It might be in a bubble, but it's definitely a fun bubble to be in. And I don't think it's gonna do anything for the next couple of years. So yeah, check out NFTs. Look it up. Do some research, and have no expectations. So thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming on. And Keith and Jay, we'd love to have you back on these again. We also do one on Friday. Hopefully we'll reach out to you guys. Peter, did you have something there? I think you're all good. Okay, no worries. And Gerg?
Yo, what's up? I'm just here for the YOLO trade, so I'm gonna copy you guys.
What'd you say?
I'm here for the YOLO trade you said. You guys buy it?
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we'll collaborate on that and we'll pick one together. We're just waiting. We usually wait for some support and resistance breaks. Awesome. Cool. Evan?
All right, awesome. So I really don't. I just want to say Gav said it quickly. We do another space every single Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Kind of this is the getting you ready for the week in the market. That is the wrap up. And then so make sure you guys tune in for that. We'll have some awesome speakers. Always do. I'm not sure we could top this panel that we have right here right now. So just with that, just go and check everyone out that we have here. I see Peter had to step off, but we're going through this rundown. All these people put out really, really awesome content. What they said to us was really amazing, engaging, and informational. And what they're putting out their page is tenfold of that. So just go make sure you're following everyone who's up here, everyone who kind of came in here and allowed us to put together such a great spaces for everyone in here. So just follow all our speakers up here.
100%. And they did it really, pro bono, free of their time, which was amazing. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Me and Evan will collab, possibly it sounds like with your Gavin, maybe with Shark, and we'll figure out what trade we want to place with this bullish Rippers money. So we'll follow up on that. I hope this got you filled for the markets. Usually we also do a section of earnings. We do ex dividends. We just didn't have time for that today. There was so much other powerful, amazing content. Thank you to the 300 plus people that probably came through here today and listened with us. My name is Gav Blacksberg. I work at Wolf Financial. Unfortunately, my other phone, which was on the Wolf Financial account, crashed, and so that's down from here. But hopefully, y'all will join us again soon. I'll be on another space tonight at 8 p.m. EST, and then a bunch throughout the week. So looking forward to chatting with y'all. Take care, everybody. Have fun. Make some money. Have a great rest of your Monday.
Have a great one. Thank you, guys.